Very exciting matchups, actually, to start off the season.
Yeah.
Michigan State taking on Arizona. This is really not an easy test for the very first game, and this is a very young Michigan State team that has a really long schedule ahead of them. Lots of travel and really trying to figure out where these pieces kind of fall. But they're in Hawaii, so it's not all bad.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's feeling bad for them. I don't think anyone's feeling bad for Tom Izzo in particular. He's the kind of guy, he gets tons of talent and somehow gets them to buy into his kind of blue-collar approach. So I think the games are exciting. I think the experience is something special. It's certainly something that all these coaches are going to be talking about, how special it is Veterans Day to represent your country, your school, in the basketball arena. I think it's a really special thing to be a part of, but the experience of this game, it's all going to go away when they tip it off. And I think at that point, you're going to see, what types of teams we're looking at this year. And I want to encourage people, especially fans, don't put too much into these games, win or lose. Don't get too high on your team on a win. Don't get too down on your team in a loss. They're two very good teams. Arizona, Michigan State, two elite level programs. But the team you're going to see today is much different than the team you're going to see in February and March. So don't put too much into it. What coaches want to see, though, is progress along the way. Coaches want to find a rotation. So for Michigan State, you've got some injuries, but you have to find a way to get through a rotation. Spell some of your stars like a Tum Nair. You really got to get 30-plus minutes out of a guy like that. Miles Bridges, try to maximize his potential, put him in good spots, opportunities to make plays. So that'll be the challenge for a coach. For the players, like I said, all the excitement, it just goes away once they tip it off.
Yeah, you mentioned the excitement and how great of an experience this is, but when you're looking at a tournament like this, where you're in Hawaii, you get to do all these cool things. You get to go around the bases and see the helicopters and the ships and everything.
You like that? Yeah, the helicopters
cool.
and the ship, yeah.
It's great for these guys, but at the same time, when you have a young team like Michigan State, how much do you have, you want these guys to have fun and enjoy this experience, but you also don't want it to be a distraction.
Well, look, it's like the Final Four. We talk about the Final Four. It's like such a big distraction, like Super Bowl, the media day. It's such a distraction. And the guys that have never been there, it's even more of a distraction. So for a guy like Tom Izzo, it's no big deal. And the players that he brings into his program, he expects them to expect this. This is no big deal to them. A guy like Miles Bridges, again, no big deal. He's one of the best players in the country coming into college basketball, likely a one-and-doneer, although we don't really want to get into that kind of talk. It's not even something that he himself is talking about. But we look at guys like this is what they expect. They demand to be on a big stage like this. So I don't think they're phased in any way. If anything, it's a good teaching point for the rest of the season because this is how it's going to be for these top 10 programs.
Yeah, and you mentioned a bit about the rotation. There's no Denzel Valentine this year.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a soft spot there for this Michigan State team. How do you fill that gap? How do you fill that spot leadership-wise, statistics-wise, if you're Tom Izzo and this Spartans team?
Well, statistically, it's a completely different team. So it doesn't really matter. You're not going to try to fill what Denzel Valentine did for this team. You're not going to fill up the stat sheet with, leading the team in assists, leading the team in rebounds and points. You're not going to get that from any one individual. Well, the complete team is different, and that's what you have to rely on. The biggest thing, and you touched on this, is leadership. If you can get leadership from a guy like Tum Nair, that's going to be key. He's the kind of guy that leads by example. He's not going to shoot the ball very well. He's not going to score a ton of points, but he's going to play hard. He's going to defend. He's kind of that rah-rah kind of guy that can grab you by the throat and say, this is what we need to do. And he doesn't care how good someone might be, how big of a star some freshman might be. He's still going to get these guys together. And he reminds me a lot of a Mateen Cleaves. And I had the joy, the pleasure, and the pain of playing against Mateen Cleaves my freshman year when they won a national championship. And we barely covered him to shoot the basketball. We sagged off of him, and this is a lot like Tum. He's not a shooter, but he's a great leader. He gets guys to buy in. He gets guys to do what Tom Izzo's asking of them. He's the locker room leader. He's the floor general, all those things that Tom Izzo needs in terms of leadership.
Well, you mentioned the leadership, but this is also a different kind of Tom Izzo team. You don't have that go-to big guy.
Yep.
So what is this team going to look like? How is this play going to be? They're going to be playing smaller, but this isn't something that fans are don't expect to see, I guess is the best way to put it, from a Michigan State team.
It's interesting, though, because we have all these cliches, like not the size of the dog is in the fight, the size of the fight in the dog, that type of thing. I think that's what you're going to see from this team, and it's something Tom Izzo does really well. He gets a lot out of his players by challenging them to be tougher. He demands it, and somehow this blue-collar coach gets the most out of blue-chip players. I think that's what makes Tom Izzo so special. He gets the most out of McDonald's All-Americans who you think are kind of prissy and just expect to get whatever they want. No, he gets the most out of them. He makes them tough. So 6'8" and tough is better than 7 foot and soft.
All right, John, thank you so much. And for more Michigan State news, highlights, and analysis, head to btn.com/Spartans.